All right, what's up, everybody? How y'all feel out there? Frank Red back on air for another edition of the In the Dungeon program. I want to thank everybody out there that been hanging in there. We're a couple of minutes late. We wanted to make sure everything was copacetic. We think we got it going on pretty good, and we are excited to join you in another edition of the program. And I had talked about, well, actually, no, I was talking to myself, but I had thought about doing a show over the past couple of days, and I decided to just kind of chill and wait until the night because I knew we was going to have a really big sports weekend. And a lot of times, you know, when you are doing content creation, doing shows on YouTube, you get right up to the edge where you start thinking about talking about things that you're really not that interested in, but it's topical, and you think maybe it will pique somebody's interest, even though it's not necessarily piquing yours. And I've been steadfast in that I really don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that. So I have the luxury of talking about things that interest me, and I think will interest my audience, which is you. And so I thank you for your patience since the last time that we have put together a show. We have an incredible show to do, I think. I've been researching a lot of different things over the past couple of days, and we're going to hit it. We're going to talk some NFL. We're going to talk specifically San Francisco Giants. I got one more take about the Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, and all that good stuff. And then I'm going to let that go. We'll touch on the San Francisco Giants a little bit. And we're going to talk about some NBA business, which at the top of the list right now is the World Cup. And, the sky's not falling. I got up early this morning and actually watched the whole game. And I got some thoughts about that. Big college football weekend. Incredible, historic, really. And I also have a take on the Michael Oher story. You know Michael Oher, the person who The Blind Side, the movie, was made after. I resisted thus far because there was a lot of commentary about how, I guess the Tuohys is how you pronounce their name, how they might have, exploited is a strong word. I think they might have positioned themselves better to take advantage of the opportunities with regards to The Blind Side. That sounds a lot nicer, because I think when you look at what they did for this young man, you can't discount that. They took somebody who was essentially homeless, streets of Memphis. I lived in Memphis. Memphis is a tough city. If anybody ever been to Memphis, it is tough, particularly for people of color. So there was some good there, but I think that taking a look at the whole situation, there might have been some things that could have been done differently also that would have helped position him better than apparently he feels he is now. We're also going to talk about the U.S. Open. And, as somebody who's done sports talk radio for a decade and a half, a long time, you got to do all sports. And I love women's tennis. I really do. I mean, men's tennis to me, I'm not all that interested because the personalities to me are not that great. The last big personality that we've had. Federer was a good personality without saying much, but he had a certain swag about him that I think people kind of got into. I don't know. Who should I be excited about in the men's game? Jokic? I'm not going to butcher the guy's name. You know what I'm talking about, the best player in the world. I'm not all that interested in him. I'm not. I mean, he's great. He might be the best men's tennis player of all time, but I'm not that interested in him. What I am interested in is Coco Gauff. Coco Gauff and we'll talk about that a little later. But she combines, to me, some Serena, and she's only 19. She's 19 years old. I mean, I watched her today. Every facet of her game is thorough. She has all the shots, all right? And she plays like my favorite tennis player of all time, Steffi Graf, who was stoic, but just a fierce competitor on the tennis court, unflappable. All she did was win. So I really enjoyed watching women's tennis today, all right? But I think at the top of the list, by the way, my name is Frank Red. You're listening for the first time. I really thank you for stepping in the dungeon. And but for folks who have been supporting me for a while, thank you so much. My man Romo's doing great stuff, by the way. I'm sure you guys know that. As a member of the NorCal Sports Network, really talented cat. And I want to thank you for stepping in here, listening to what I do. All right. College football. What Colorado did yesterday in thrashing, well, they didn't thrash them. They beat TCU, the Horned Frogs, 45-42. And some of the people out there already, I mean, people out there had almost talked me into thinking that I couldn't trust what I was watching, because I knew Colorado was going to be good. I mean, yeah, if you watched Travis Hunter last year as a member of the HBCU Jackson State squad, this dude was a baller. And Shedeur Sanders, listen, I don't know if he is a NFL QB1 quarterback, but I do know he's really good. I mean, anybody who thought that he was not going to be able to transition to, Division I college football was crazy. Especially if Tom Brady's going to mess with you. And he looks kind of like Tom Brady in terms of how he goes through his progressions. He's also very apprehensive to run, which is ironic when you consider his dad is one of the best athletes in the history of sports. Shedeur is not a runner, and he doesn't want to run. He just surveys the field, and he throws darts. He throws his accuracy is amazing. So if you guys want to talk about that, let's do it, because there's a lot of people out there that didn't want to give Colorado a chance. I think they'll go 8-4 this year. I don't have any loving fantasies about them making it to the national championship game or the playoffs. I think that comes later. And I actually think that if Colorado played TCU 10 times, I think TCU would win at least half, maybe 6. But on this particular day, Colorado had the momentum, and they were fortunate enough to make the plays at the end. But again, Coach Prime, Deion Sanders is the antithesis as a coach than he was as a player and as a coach in the press conference. He's very stoic. He's very like Jim Harbaugh-like, he really is. He's very focused on what he needs to do as a coach, and I don't think people are really giving him the credit that he deserves, because he's pretty flamboyant, and that's never going to change. It is who he is. It's made him millions of dollars, and his players have bought into it thoroughly. And they got good personnel. They only have one starter back from last year's team, number 18, a safety. I don't know his name, but homeboy's good. The guy who had the first interception in the end zone, he looks like he has the potential to play NFL football. So we want to talk about the game. We can do so. I also want to talk a little bit about, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but Lee Corso, a member of ESPN's Game Day team. And who doesn't love Lee Corso? I mean, Lee Corso is like Dick Vitale in college basketball. I think most people expect to see him. Obviously, he's at a different point in his life now where he's dealing with some health issues. He can barely complete a sentence. But I give him all the credit in the world just to kind of travel and still be a part of the pageantry of college football. But I thought that he was biased against Deion Sanders. It's okay to have an opinion, but his opinion seemingly was based on disdain for how Deion Sanders has built the Colorado program. I don't think it's personal, but it was almost like he was rooting for Colorado to lose. And I'm like, if you're on a national television show getting paid that kind of money, you know, where people are looking at you as a quote expert, you need to keep your biases at home and actually tell the truth. Or if you're going to have a counter view on Colorado and Deion Sanders, then give some explanation. He gave zero explanation, and I think he made the whole team look bad. There was one guy at the table. I can't think of his name either. The guy who's moving to ESPN, former punter, kicker of the Indianapolis Colts. He was like, "I'm going with Deion," and it's almost like people were afraid to say that, Colorado might have some action for the Horned Frogs, and the Horned Frogs are good. I watched them a little bit last year, and obviously they made it to the national championship game, but I think they're probably even better now. Yeah, Pat McAfee, thank you. Mark Graves is always saving me. I appreciate you, dude. You're always saving me. Thank you. I want to say what's up, my man Krishna out there, man. Krishna, I can't believe you stepped in the dungeon, brother. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. All right. Hit me up at Big Frank Red on Twitter if you don't already follow me. And if you have not subscribed to the show, do so by hitting the subscribe button. We actually reached our goal of 100 subscribers. Thanks to Coach Coach Amelia, and his crew over at NorCal Sports Network. They pushed us over the edge the last time I was on their particular show. And that's just straight love right there, boy. So I appreciate y'all. I really do. And we're going to keep it moving. I got a lot of things going on right now. And one of the things that I'm doing is I am reading a book of someone who I want to interview on the show. So I got to finish the book. I mean, that's my level of integrity. I know it's kind of routine for people to interview people having not even read the book. And they can kind of pull it off, and I know it happens. And when you are doing so many interviews, sometimes you got to do that. That's not me. I don't have to do that because I'm not doing that many interviews. But there's a book that I'm reading now that I want to finish, and then I'm gonna reach out to the gentleman to see if he wants to come on and do the show. But that's my take on Colorado. They play Nebraska next at home. There's no reason why they shouldn't win that game. If Nebraska can't score more than 14 points in their first game, Matt Rule's bunch is in trouble, because if you beat Colorado this year, and some teams are going to beat them, they're going to outscore them. They're not going to stop them from scoring. Colorado's, what are they going to average? 28 points a game? At least? They're really good. They are. So, I'm interested in seeing that particular game. Some of you all may have watched Florida State dismantle LSU tonight, 45-24, I think it was. The game was actually a lot closer. I mean, Florida State kind of pulled away in the second half, but the reality is LSU lost the game with all of the drops. When you have two really, really good teams, you can't afford to have those level of mistakes that LSU had. And it was their own doing. I think if they played at the end of the year, this game would be very close. Maybe LSU would win. But it's good to see Florida State have a real team, because they're one of the hallmark college football programs in the history of the sport. And they went through a period where they were not doing very well. But now you look at the levels of players that they put on the field. The second and third stringers are basically starters. And you can tell the difference. So after the first week, I mean, college football, I think, is in a good place. We can talk about it. Now, I've been talking about it for a long time on this particular show. The breakup of the Pac-12 will go down as one of the biggest failures. I say history a lot because I believe it. I think this is going to be one of the biggest failures that we've seen in a long time. I'm sure people like Michael Lewis or some other talented writers are out there already writing about it. Because think about it. All of their teams won this past weekend. Now, granted, Stanford played North Texas. Okay, okay. But no, this league is top notch. And to think that they would farm themselves off to the lowest bidder, not the highest bidder, the lowest bidder, is crazy. If USC and UCLA wanted to go bye-bye, fine. All they needed to do was stick together. That's it. Even if they took a loss for the next year or two, the TV revenue money was going to be there. But they were so selfish. They were so selfish and they looked out for themselves. And now, hello, Vicky, how are you? Thank you for stepping in the dungeon. I appreciate you. They were so selfish that they decided to go to conferences that are really going to treat them like they're renting Airbnbs. You know, allegedly or supposedly, Cal and Stanford's going to get a 30% share of the revenue in the ACC. 30%. Whatever it is, we know it's not 100. Okay, maybe it's more than that. Maybe it's 30% and they give them, you know, some money for travel costs or something. But still, terrible as far as I'm concerned. Now, I still have not had an argument. I still haven't heard an argument that says that this was good. Yeah, as a sports fan who has been on the West Coast now for a long period of time, the Pac-12 football is different than the Big Ten and the Big 12 and the ACC, but it's still enjoyable. I still like to watch it. You know, most of the teams run pro-style offenses, and it's fun. To not have that, to me, is a terrible, terrible loss. And as a former college athlete, no one's talking about it a lot because they don't want to get fired or they don't want to upset their bosses. But as a student athlete, are you kidding me right now? Every other weekend, you got to travel to the East Coast. I mean, come on now. That is absolutely crazy. But it's all about money. They still have the the brand, the Pac-12, and I think that there'll probably be some iteration of the Pac-12 at some point. I don't know when. I have no idea. I just know it's crazy to think that they would run scared the way that they did, to these various conferences. USC and UCLA, fine. But everybody else, in my opinion, should have stayed. So that's my take on it. With regards to the 49ers, it's real now. They'll start playing football, and we can stop talking about all of these, the subplots associated with this team. But I do wanted to talk a little bit about Kyle Shanahan for a second. When Jimmy Garoppolo made his comment, Cal kind of slapped him back a little bit and said, well, I'm not all that interested in what Jimmy has to say. That's fair. But when I look at Jim Harbaugh, and I say, well, who's a better coach? And you guys can answer this question. Who is a better coach, Jim Harbaugh or Kyle Shanahan? Because I read something this weekend that says Kyle Shanahan makes $10 million. I don't know if that's true or not. I have no idea. But Jim Harbaugh basically was run out of town for kind of being prickly with the media, kind of being a little peculiar, because it certainly wasn't because of the level of coach that he was. He's a great coach. And even people early on in his Michigan days, he was still winning. And because he wasn't beating Ohio State, they were talking about how he might have to leave there. The guy is a brilliant football coach. I actually enjoyed Harbaugh as the 49ers coach more than Kyle Shanahan. Just me. And it's only because, not that they're both not great coaches, but Harbaugh to me was kind of like Belichick in that you would ask him a question and his answer would communicate to you, I'm not going to tell you anything. Now, I'm not going to come out and say it. I'm going to be peculiar. I'm going to be, he probably thought he was being irreverent. But sometimes he would piss people off by his comments. I will laugh at it, but I'm not a reporter asking them questions either. Kyle Shanahan, I just don't believe him. I don't believe what he says. Okay, Mark, thank you. My man, Mark. Marcus cleared some things up. He said he and Jed were at each other's throats in the last year. Okay. Well, that makes sense then, because Jed's obviously the owner, and the owner is always going to win. But I really enjoyed how he coached. And Shanahan does it differently, and he is equally a brilliant coach. But his press conferences, and just in terms of how he kind of how he communicates with the press is one thing, but even with his players, and I'm talking about Trey Lance, I can't speak to all the other players. Let's go back to that Denver game one last time. People were acting like it was a landslide for the number 2 job between Trey Lance and Sam Darnold. I'm like, hello? Are you guys watching the same thing that I'm watching? Trey Lance's performance against Denver, I thought at the very least, put him in a position to challenge for the number 2 in the last preseason game. You guys with me? Are you with me? You probably are. So what happens? Kyle Shanahan goes on the radio and says, well, my number 2 might change from week to week. Okay, all right, I can rock with that. Who's ever looking good in practice might get the nod that particular week. The next day, Cal comes out, Sam Darnold has a job. Oh yeah, it was clear. It's been clear. It was a clear cut that Sam had the job. He was a better number 2. I mean, come on, man. Come on now. Did anybody believe that? I keep going back to Jay-Z's line. We don't believe you. You need more people. I mean, as a player whose career is in the balance, playing for one of the best franchises in the NFL, in all of sports, incredible geography, incredible fans. I don't think Trey was ready to jump on that plane to go to Dallas had he had the opportunity to really compete for the number 2 job here. And at this point, it doesn't matter. We're getting further and further away from the issue to the point where, it is what it is. It's big boy football. Everybody's getting paid. But if I'm a player and I'm looking at this person in the eyes and he's communicating to me like that, I'm not very happy, and then to like have fans kind of buy into that, I think you guys are smarter than that. If Sam was going to win that job, he had to win that job in the last preseason game. Because, he brings things to the table that Trey doesn't bring, but Trey brings some things to the table that Sam doesn't bring. And as we see, what Trey needs more than anything is reps. That's what he needs. He just needs reps. He needs reps, and he needs to play for somebody who really believes in him. I actually, it's funny. I actually read something this week, and it was about education, but it had so many different similarities to sports. It said that you cannot teach someone who you don't think is smart, or you cannot teach someone who you don't believe in. The energy's not going to be the same. It doesn't mean that you can't go through the motions and provide knowledge and instruction on a football field, but theorists have said you cannot really get to that sweet spot of that relationship between a coach and a player if you don't think that said player is smart enough, or if you don't believe in them. And I felt that. I mean, I really did. I really did, and that hit home with me. All right, SG, what's up, brother? How you doing? Giving up 2 extra first-round picks, you would have thought they would have given Trey a little more rope. Yeah, you would have thought that. But luckily, Brock came to the rescue, and he's been balling out of control. And I think Brock Purdy will continue to play well as long as he stays upright. That's the question. I don't have any confidence that he will, to be quite honest with you. The one thing about the NFL, which is incredible, and we've watched it all weekend, watching high-level football. Early on, the defenses are flying all over the field. It is I mean, you could talk about the passing game and the involvement of offense in NFL. I think they're still trailing the speed of the game. It is crazy how fast and how ferocious these defenders are. Unbelievable. And as fast as Brock can process, those windows are closing. And I hope he doesn't get hurt. I hope he doesn't, because there's a good chance that he might. It wouldn't surprise me if the 49ers eked out a win in Pittsburgh their first game, or if they lost that game. Because Pittsburgh is tough, especially defensively. Interested in getting your thoughts about that. Hit me up in the comment section. We got a lot of folks hanging out. MF, thank you, man. He shares my sentiments about Harbaugh. Harbaugh was great, man. He was outstanding. And I wish he would stay in college football. I think he's good for college football. But, his first head coaching job was at the University of San Diego in Southern California, all right? I told you the Josh Johnson story of how he recruited Josh Johnson, who recently got cut by the Baltimore Ravens, but he might be on the practice squad. Josh Johnson has been a professional football player now for 13, 14 years. And Jim Harbaugh gave him his only scholarship offer. And all he did was go to San Diego and become an All-American, a Division I quarterback All-American. Outstanding. Yeah. SG says, I'm proud San Diego State. I'm a proud San Diego State alum, and they got absolutely destroyed by Oregon State by a score of 42-17. And San Diego State football starts season 1-2. I totally disagree with you. San Jose State, first of all, they got a big check from USC, all right, that's going to fund their football program, so maybe some other sports down there. So, and they were competitive. They put 28 points on the board against USC. That's what you should be looking at, not the wins and the losses. How did they play? And against Oregon State, Oregon State is ranked 18th in the country. 18th. They were supposed to come in and do what they did. And they got a 5-star quarterback in DJ. You should be proud to have a football program like San Jose State. I think they're doing a terrific job. I think that they're going to ball out in the Mountain West. And I think be a proud alum. That's all good. But you should have a little more pride in the football program because they've come a long way. And I think they're a solid program. My man, Brian Iglesias. What's up, Frank? Story of the week in college football has to be Coach Prime in Colorado. No question about it, man. I mean, the story that is not being talked about is the offensive line. The offensive line of Colorado was outstanding. They gave Shador all the time that he needed to go through his progressions. Very few penalties. They were outstanding. And what does that speak to? It speaks to coaching. It speaks to coaching because they don't have a lot of depth on the offensive line. They don't. So those guys had to really perform, and they performed extremely well. And again, woe is me is not the message that TCU should have right now. They lost a tough game to Colorado, but they're going to win 8 or 9 games, maybe even 10. I mean, that TCU squad is good. They're real good, and they lost to a good Colorado team. So, you know. Yes, G, I saw the stats of your quarterback. He didn't have a great game, but give Oregon State some credit, man. Watch football. Watch football. Those Power 5 teams are ferocious. They're bigger. They're stronger. They're faster. And Oregon State was supposed to win against San Jose State. So, you want to talk anything about college football? I've been thinking about James Franklin a little bit at Penn State. They were successful, obviously, this weekend. And supposedly, they think they have the quarterback who's going to be able to help them ascend to the next level. Because I think that James Franklin is kind of at a tipping point. Because Penn State has had so much success in the past. They've won national championships, the legacy of Joe Paterno and all that good stuff. To the point now where you could really start to get to the point to talk yourself into James Franklin not being a top 10 college football coach because he can't beat Ohio State and Michigan consistently. And that would be a mistake for them, but he could conceivably start to get upset from all the naysayers that says that he can't win after winning 8-9 games a year. It'll be interesting this year because supposedly they have the quarterback that they need. They're producing as many NFL prospects as anybody in the Big Ten. So he's done a terrific job, but I think that their fans are a little antsy, if you will, to think that maybe something needs to change, even though he's a great coach. Because, he snapped his fingers and he would have more opportunities. So I'm watching Penn State. Harbaugh is my favorite coach in college football. And Ohio State. I actually think that day, I think the athletic director is stepping down because he don't want to be the guy to fire his football coach. But if they can't beat Michigan, he ain't gonna be there much longer. I think we know that. And as tattered as Urban Meyer's record has been, in the NFL, literally he was like a hurricane going through Jacksonville. People are watching him every week, sitting at the console, yucking it up with the guys, talking football, and thinking to themselves, So, what do you think about that? I don't think that Gene, can't think of his last name, the athletic director of Ohio State, he's already said he's going to retire. And they're, giving them time to look for a successor, wink, wink. But He's the guy who hired the football coach, and I don't think he wants to be the guy to fire him. So when he steps off, all bets are in, because you know how it is. If you're Ohio State, you got to beat Michigan. You have to. And if you don't, then you ain't going to be there much longer. Brian Iglesias says, there is so much swagger coming through the television with Colorado. It's infectious and has potential to be must-see TV every set. It's already there. It's already there. I mean, can you imagine what the ratings were for that first game? I mean, think about this. We're all football fans. When the last time we got up at 9 o'clock to watch TCU play football? Come on now. Come on now. Come on. Yeah, Gene Smith is his name. Thank you, SG. Gene Smith, the athletic director of Ohio State. Yeah, thank you. So, just like, I mean, Colorado's already there. Did you see how hard the athletic director of Colorado hugged Shedeur Sanders? I thought he was going to break his back. That guy is on the move. I don't know what his name is, but he stepped out there and said, Deion, we want you. We got to have you. He wrapped his arm around Deion. He went out in the Colorado area and found the best barber that they could find. Soul food chefs, Italian chefs, whatever they needed, he went out and got it. And quickly went to the Big 12, with a whole lot of money. So talk about a ballsy move, because think about it. Deion could be the Auburn coach right now. Some folks might get fired in a year or two for not hiring Deion Sanders, because Colorado did. And now that Colorado hired Deion, all this talk about him leaving, I wish that would go away. Make a 5-year commitment. Yeah, your son's probably going to be there, hopefully for another year, couple of years, and go out and recruit somebody. I mean, I would love to see him stay there for 5 years. I really would. And then go to the NFL. I don't know if I want to see Deion coaching another college team. Once he proves himself at Colorado, I think he should go to the NFL. I mean, the salaries in the NFL, notwithstanding Saban and a couple other guys, the money's better. And the prestige is better. Brian says, when was the last time we watched a full quarter of Colorado football? You're right. I mean, past this year, right? But I bet you're going to watch all 4 quarters next week against Nebraska. And I am too. SG, I didn't forget to read your comment. I just read you said his name is Gene Smith. That's the comment you're talking about? Let me see this. It said, when I was going to college down at State University, I got a dorm with some of the football players, which might be one of the greatest things ever. Oh, yeah? Why? Did you get to know those guys or what? Were they friendly to you when you were in the same dorm with the football players? I mean, they're just regular people. That's all they are, man. I mean, come on. I mean, I think smart athletes realize that they have a gift like other people have gifts. And to expect people to treat you differently or to treat other people differently simply because you play a sport is absurd. I remember a story back in the day, and I don't know if it's true or not, but supposedly Davis Love III introduced Michael Jordan to golf. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think they were friendly. If you're a college student and you don't take the opportunity to really meet people outside of your circle, I think you're making a mistake. Yeah, it's a real missed opportunity. And I think from a coaching perspective, you're teaching your players to be well-rounded and not be full of themselves and understand how privileged they are to be in that environment. to the extent that people would care about you, care about what you're doing. So I'm glad you had that opportunity, SG. And yeah. So we're going to talk about college football. Maybe I'm missing something. I think I covered everything. Notre Dame did what they're supposed to do. I love watching Notre Dame. Hartman, their quarterback, the transfer out of Wake Forest, is a flat-out stud. They're must-see TV. And I think you probably have to, take another hard look at Florida State in ways that we haven't in some ways. I mean, Clemson's not beating them. No, Clemson is not beating them. And I don't think Carolina's beating them. As talented as Drake May is, I can't imagine another ACC team beating Florida State. Not because of their offense. Their offense is incredible, but their defense is crazy. Now, Florida State, to me, has 2 first-round draft picks at wide receiver. The kid, I wrote his name down, Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson. Both of those guys are flat-out studs. I mean, that's what an NFL wide receiver looks like. 6'4", 215 pounds, going up in the air and getting it and snatching it from a 5'11" corner. And what's the kid's name? I said his name. Johnny Wilson is 6'7". Florida State is good. So I don't know if people thought they were going to be that good, but they are rock solid. Good defense, well-balanced offense. And LSU looks like they did last year. They don't appear to have gotten better. They're, solid top 15 team, top 12. I don't think they're going to magically get any new players. I think they are what they are. They're a good, solid team, but I don't think that they have the top-end talent that we saw tonight from Florida State. Florida State really used that transfer portal well, and they went out and got some flat-out studs. That's what they did. Yeah. SG, the band's going to have a good time next week. The next opponent that San Jose State is going up against is Cal Poly. Cal Poly's going to get hammered by San Jose State. So, they got their money from USC. They got a TV game today against Oregon State. Seemingly, there was a lot of people out there. So they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're building their program, making money. And I always thought that it was a travesty that San Jose State wasn't good at everything. I thought they should have been good at everything. I remember I played against San Jose State when I was in college, and we came out here and beat them in a tournament by 30. When I went to Fordham, we beat them by 30. I was like, wait a minute. Aren't they down the street from Stanford and Silicon Valley? Why do they suck so bad? And all of a sudden the light bulb came on. They got a really good basketball program also. They really do. I got a chance to see some of their players this summer. And they had a young man who got drafted by the Milwaukee Bucks in the second round this year who's super. He got a two-way. But they got a lot of good players coming back as well. So keep your eye on San Jose State basketball in the Mountain West. Mark Iglesias said, man, what a disappointment for the Pac-12. They go undefeated in week 1, possibly might have their most competitive conference in years, and it's all coming to an end next year. What an awful look. Yeah, Brian, that was one of my opening comments. I mean, yo, dude. We are 2 sports fans. Maybe you are a marketing whiz. I'm not. But I do have pretty good critical thinking skills and logic. I do understand logic, right? And if someone asked me, no one did, I would have said, yo, Pac-12, schools, take your lumps, take out a loan, shake the bushes of your alumni to finance the sports programs for the next couple of years. This is going to work out. Instead, what did they do? They ran like roaches. They ran like roaches to get the best deal for themselves. Come on, man. Arizona State in the Big 12, really? Arizona football in the Big 12, really? Now, Arizona's going to be pretty darn good in basketball. They can play there. But if football is your rocket ship, what are you doing in the Big 12, Arizona? You're going to get the crap kicked out of you every year. In Arizona State, can Arizona State really compete and recruit without moving the goalposts and playing close to the edges? No, they can't. They don't have that kind of money. What are they going to be? They're not going to be very good. So I think the whole thing is a mess. Did you hear that Cal Golden Bears football team? Yeah, I heard about it. Yeah. And thanks for this. Brennan, who's the head coach of San Jose State Spartans, I don't know him personally. I'm sure he's a good guy, but yeah, he's a hell of a football coach. I know that. Brian says Washington can't compete in the Big Ten and any others. Yeah, I would agree with you. They are going to get killed in basketball. It makes all the sense in the world that they just should have kept the Pac-12 together. And I think, again, I don't know how long it's going to take, but at some point they're going to put that thing back together. And then couple that with how well Oregon State played today. They're a top 20 team. USC, UCLA, bye. They didn't really, it seems like an oxymoron when I said it. The Pac-12 doesn't need USC and UCLA, but they really don't. They're great, table reads, great art on the wall, but do they need them to be a successful, thriving league when you have Washington, Oregon, Stanford, Cal, Arizona State, Arizona? What those teams needed to do was step up their game. That's what they needed to do. Cal, as a university, I love Cal. Love it. Love the school. But for Cal to be as bad as they are at sports is atrocious. No way Cal should be as horrible as they are. I'm talking major sports because they kick ass in baseball and water polo and swimming and softball and all those. They're great. But for Cal not to be good in men's basketball and football is shameful. There's really no excuse for it. And Stanford, had a great run. I don't think that they should be horrible in basketball. And men's, why is Tyra Vanderveer so great as a women's basketball coach, and the basketball team has literally struggled since Mike Montgomery left? And when Mike Montgomery was there, they were one of the top teams every year. Top 20, Final Four. Same smart kids going to that school. But they have not been able to repeat that success. So, the ACC, I don't think they're going to be able to recruit. I mean, Mark Matson. The only thing Mark Matson might be able to do is go overseas and recruit a couple of kids. I think he could probably do that. Being a former pro, being a great guy, smart. He probably has some inroads overseas, some folks, but they're never going to be a juggernaut. I think during his tenure as a recruiting spot, I just don't see that happening. So anyway, I mean, Pac-10 is no more for the foreseeable future. Cal conceivably made good financially along with Stanford. SMU was like, we just want to come to the party. You don't even have to pay us. Don't pay us for 5 years or 10 years or whatever it is. We got enough money. Just allow us to be in the league. So that's going to be interesting. I think I put this out there. Let me see. Washington can't compete in the Big Ten or any other sport than football. Yeah, and let's say this. Yeah, Brian, I actually talked about this as well. Thoughts on head coach Kyle Shanahan? Should he be placed on the hot seat? They ran Jim Harbaugh out of town. Well, somebody cleared that up. I think Mark Graves cleared up and said that Jim Harbaugh and Jed York were having problems. So I get that. You're not going to be around if you can't get along with the owner. I'm going to say no. But I think that Kyle Shanahan needs to hire a media consultant. I believe that. I don't think he should be on. I don't think he should be on the hot seat. I mean, he's won. He's kind of he and John Lynch have resurrected this, this hallmark franchise to the point where they're highly rated now. Must-see TV in the NFL. The NFL, I'm sure, is happy. The networks are happy. The 49ers are good. I just don't like how he communicates. I just don't. I don't. And, he could have brushed off Jimmy Garoppolo's comments about some weird things happen in San Francisco. He could have laughed that off. And everybody would have got a chuckle and moved on to the next thing. But he got personal. Well, I don't really care about what Jimmy is saying right now. Because indicating that he might be sensitive. That was an opportunity for him to just kind of like brush that off. And he didn't do it. I don't think he's great with the media. I just don't. And I don't think he always tells the truth. But a hell of a football coach. And the thing that has helped him is they've been rock solid in their scouting and evaluation, which is why the Trey Lance thing is so outside. They haven't made many mistakes like that. And I think this was a mistake in patience, not in talent evaluation. But Shanahan's done a great job calling plays, being creative, and they have been able to restock the cupboards with talented players that they've drafted in the 4th, 5th, 3rd round, which is pretty impressive because the 49ers actually lose as many players as they bring in, but they hit so many home runs that they've been able to sustain a certain level of success. And that speaks well to the stability that they have. So no, I don't think he should be on the hot seat. I don't. I just think that he should be honest with himself and take a look in the mirror and do better. The Pac-12 was the laughingstock of the Power 5 conferences. It started with playing on Friday and Saturday night when all of the East Coast is asleep. Plus your champ game was on Friday. I know, that was crazy. That was absolutely nuts. That was nuts. I remember one year, not too long ago, The Pac-12 played their championship game on Friday night in the rain. One of the most unnormal Friday nights that we've seen in the Bay Area. I think they played in the Bay Area, right? At Levi? In the rain. Me, a couple of guys, and some grandmas were watching. That's it. Nobody else. Nobody else. Mark says, I think you're right, Frank. If Kyle could get away with not talking to the media, he would get happy with that. Yeah, man. And yeah, his dad was kind of prickly though, although, I think his dad was better than he was at talking to the media. But I think that we laugh at Belichick. We kind of scratch our head at Jim Harbaugh. We love Mike Tomlin's press conferences. And let's be honest, 50% of the time, Mike Tomlin tells us nothing. But it sounds like, I don't know, the liner notes from Shakespeare or something. I don't know, Edgar Allan Poe or something, right? So we go, wow, that was really good. But when we break it down, he accomplishes his goal to tell us about as much as he wants to tell us. But it sounds good. Shanahan is just, I jokingly said he was a bad liar on Twitter. And I'm jokingly saying that again. And I actually put out a tweet and I was saying, imagine Kyle Shanahan going to school, explaining to his teacher what happened to his homework. Where's your homework, Kyle? Well, I had it when I left. And a dog was on the bus. I don't know if he ate it or not, but he was smiling and his jaws were moving. So I don't know. He's funny, man. College football ratings are highest in the 9 to 12 and 1 p.m. windows. Playing at 7 p.m. when half the country is asleep is poor marketing by the head of the Pac-12. You couldn't take them seriously. Yeah. I think you're on to something, Brian, but I would say put your best game tonight. I mean, it's a money thing. I think partly the networks, they care about ratings on the West Coast, but they want something to market. And whether or not if the marketing shows up with the numbers, I don't know. Obviously, you want to do well in your regions. And I think that the advertisers, the West Coast advertisers that broadcast some of those games late in the evening, they can still make a buck. But I'm with you. I don't know if the Pac-12, as it was currently constructed over the past couple of years, could compete against the SEC or Notre Dame on NBC at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't think they could. And plus, I guess 1 o'clock is 12 o'clock. 1 o'clock on the West Coast is 4 in the afternoon. The SEC is tough across the nation. So I don't know. I think they still were a viable product. They made a lot of mistakes playing games on Friday night and stuff like that. It was crazy. But I think they still had some quality names to promote. But that's all gone away, man, unfortunately. So thank you, though, man. I appreciate you. Can you guys believe we've done an hour already? It's crazy. It's fun. I want to hit on a couple of things, though. I'm convinced that Anthony Edwards is the best two-guard in the NBA. And this is the benefit of playing in a different environment. We've all had eyeballs on him. This dude, he's really impressed me. he's really impressed me so much. And the other guy who's impressed me is Mikal Bridges. Um, Guess what? That trade for Kevin Durant going to the Phoenix Suns in a couple of years might be decidedly in favor of the Brooklyn Nets, if it's not already. Mikal Bridges is probably, is he the best two-way wing in the NBA right now? I mean, he's really good. I think we felt that he was good with Phoenix, but he's better than that. I mean, he's 6'7", long arms, can guard 4 positions, and he's been a rock on our World Cup team. And Anthony Edwards, man, gosh, you talk about the star that the NBA needed. His only thing is consistency. You know, the Kobe's of the world, the Michael Jordans, players like that, the Steph Currys, the LeBron Jameses, they're real consistent. And I think that's going to be Anthony Edwards' challenge to play up to his talent, because his talent level is off the chain, man. This dude is phenomenal. He's clearly the best player on our World Cup team. Now, I watched the game early this morning, and I thought Lithuania just played a better game. I think the United States can beat them. I think if they played them again, they will beat them. And I think it's more about the world getting better at basketball than the United States falling down and not being as good as they used to be. I don't believe that is the case. I just think that the margin has decreased quite a bit. And you can't go on the court thinking that you've already won. I mean, to be down 21 to Lithuania is inexcusable. They got excellent point guard play. They have NBA-type players all across the lineup. You got to beat that team. And, United States came all the way back. They got within, I believe, 6 or 4. Missed a shot that could have got them within 3. So this is good. I mean, I think this is good for them to deal with adversity. I think Steve Kerr is going to probably put together a more defensive-oriented lineup. And, it's eye candy for me. I mean, I wish the games were played at a more decent time, but it's eye candy. I like what's going on. I like what I'm seeing. SG says, if the 49ers don't win the Super Bowl with Brock Purdy, then Cal should be placed on the hot seat and he will get ridiculed by the fans. I don't know about that. I mean, only one team is going to win. The Dallas Cowboys haven't won a Super Bowl since the early 90s. I mean, come on. I mean, people talk about that, but I mean, be competitive. Can we do a Team USA basketball final? What do you want to hear? Crickets? Is that what you want to hear? Not enough material, dude. Brian says, last one. It's not like they don't have the players and team to promote a market. USC, 6. Washington, and now Coach Prime. Yeah, man. Brian, you're absolutely right. And it all fell apart. And it all fell apart because of greed. Because of greed. And people being totally disillusioned. Listen, when Deion Sanders was hired, I think we all felt that was a tipping point for the Pac-12, because we know, okay, Lincoln Riley, they got out of there, made their announcement early. Imagine if all of the Pac-12 teams stayed. But even with Chip and Lincoln leaving, you still had a damn good league. So, but yeah, I totally agree with you, man. I guess it's their last hurrah, if you will, because the Pac-12 is going to be fun this year. The fact that DJ signed with Oregon State to uplift that program, that was big time. All right, let's see. I'm going to give you one more. It says the 2023 FIBA World Cup Finals will be in Slovenia. Okay. Not a horrible call. We'll see. Um, Couple other shots. Some else I want to talk about. I thought that the Jonathan Taylor, you can go talk to other teams to find a trade from Jim Irsay Jr. was a complete sham. I always knew it was a sham. I knew they were not going to trade him. You know, I knew that. I thought that was just, again, just so disingenuous. Wow, I love this. Pac-12 is the conference of champions, more like the conference of cowards. I totally agree with you. 100%. And they teach their players to be courageous. And in the heat of the moment, when they had to band together and be courageous, they folded like boxes. And now they're paying for it. Totally agree with you. The Nick Bosa thing is getting interesting because he don't appear to be moving. 4 million, 5 million, whatever it is. I mean, he's like, yo, why should I not be the highest? Well, I don't know if he needs to be the highest, but he figures that he should be in the neighborhood of the highest paid defensive lineman in all of football. I'm not mad at him. I am not mad at him at all. So, 49ers got to get that right. Coco Gauff was amazing today. And I also want to give props to Caroline the Wozniak, the wife of NBA champion David Lee. She was awesome. Awesome. Her grit, her determination up against a phenomenon in Coco Gauff was pretty impressive. There was a time in which we thought that Caroline might even win that match, even though Coco was clearly the more talented tennis player. And I also like the broadcast. In the past, when a woman would come back after having a child, she had two, that would be the narrative of the entire match. And I'm like, okay, so we know about it. We know women are incredible. We know that they can do things that men could probably never do, but they chose to come back and play. So let's focus on that. And I love the fact that in this particular match between Caroline and Coco Gauff, it was about the tennis. It wasn't about things off the court. Because again, anybody who decides to come back has a choice, right? That doesn't have to be a part of the narrative. I was so impressed with Caroline this afternoon. And at the same time, I was excited about Coco's performance because it woke me up. I'm a women's tennis fan, and there was really nothing all that interesting for me to watch until Coco really started to, come into herself over the past month or so. She's been outstanding. All right. I thought I was going to talk about the Michael Orr story. I'll get to that later on. That's not going anywhere. So we have some time to talk about that in another broadcast. But I did want to talk briefly about, because I came out, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, not 3 or 4 months ago, about 2 or 3 months ago, and I talked about something that many of us know, but maybe not acknowledge all the time. There are 2 movie stars in Hollywood, just 2. Tom Cruise and Denzel Washington, just 2. I've said that 1,000 times. And I think Denzel Washington once again proved what a movie star he is. Even at this point in his life, Denzel's 63, 64 years old. And still, it's box office when Denzel shows up. I didn't go see the Equalizer 3 this weekend because my movie partner is out of town. So I'm going to go see it next week. I wanted to see it, but I'm going to see it next week. But check this out. The budget of Equalizer 3 was $70 million. Between the box office between the United States and worldwide was $68 million. So in one weekend, they basically have paid for the entire movie. I think it'll probably make in excess of $300 million. Yeah, Denzel says he's not going to make another one. I think he is. I think when they put the numbers together in front of him, and they offer him $50 million to do Equalizer 4, I think he's going to turn into Liam Neeson and say, well, maybe, huh? What? The Equalizer 4 goes into an orphanage and saves the lives of 200 young girls? Yeah, I'm into that. Why not? Vicky, yes. We are over 100 subscribers, 105. Congratulations. Well, let me put you up. Let me put you up there. Vicky, you are at 105 subscribers. Congratulations. Thank you. Yeah, you know what? Midweek, my man Dan Coach Amelia of NorCal Sports Channel got us over the top. My man Romo also listens to this program. He might still be here. They helped me out so much. I was a guest on their program earlier this week, talking a lot of baseball, and they got us over the top. So we're very, very appreciative, and it's only going to get better. Mark said it's okay to go to the movies by yourself. Yeah, but it is. Although I haven't done it in a while, but I got a movie partner. I mean, trying to be loyal, man. Trying to be, respectful of that little bitty time that we set aside. We don't see each other a whole lot, but we go to movies. But yeah, you're right. I actually wish there were more movies, Mark, that I wanted to see. So I could go to movies by myself. There was a movie that Gorder that I might go check out by myself. Not quite sure. But I had a lot of work to do this weekend. I know, man. It's all good. I got the joke, Mark. It's all good, brother. It's all good. I know. All right. I can't do no more. Hour and 15 minutes. Hope you're entertained. It's been fun for me. You guys stepping in the dungeon. It's only gonna get better. I mean, this is prime time now. All of the drudgery of trying to, rub two nickels together to get a dime in sports talk radio, that's gone. It's heating up now. College football, NFL, U.S. Open, hopefully Coco makes it. All the other things that we don't have in front of us right now. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, y'all. So then the Dungeon Show is only going to get better. And I appreciate you all for stepping in with me. It's truly an honor. And thank you so much. Hit me up at Big Frank Red on Twitter or X Twitter. And if you have not subscribed, you listen to the first time, hit the subscribe button and do what you do. If you know some people who know somebody who wants to check out a show that's a little different, maybe pass the show on. And maybe you've already done that in the past. So thank you so much. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to get out of here. All right. Success in getting paid is a manifestation of the whole process. If you as an individual don't do things to help other people make their lives better, as far as I'm concerned, you haven't done nothing. I'll talk to you guys in a couple of days. So look forward to that. I certainly am. All right. Peace.